Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're diving deep into something I know a lot of you are curious about, and frankly I am too. How long do EV batteries really last?
It's a great question, and one that's been surrounded by a lot of, well, I guess you could say misconceptions over the years.
Yeah, like if you punch it to get through a yellow light, you're shaving years off the life of your battery.
Exactly. And thankfully, some new research out of Stanford is really starting to paint a clearer picture. They've done some pretty extensive testing, and the findings might surprise you.
Okay, so let's talk about those findings.
Mhm.
First, I think we need to address how EV batteries have been traditionally tested. I understand it's been kind of flawed.
Yeah, it has been. Up until recently, most testing relied on these fixed charge and discharge cycles. Basically, you drain and recharge the battery repeatedly in a very controlled environment.
But that doesn't really reflect how we drive in the real world, does it?
Not at all. Real-world driving is so much more dynamic. We have stop-and-go traffic, sudden acceleration, coasting, regenerative braking. All of these factors play a role in how the battery performs over time.
So it's like judging a marathon runner's endurance based on how fast they can run a single lap.
Perfect analogy. The old way of testing was simply too narrow, so Stanford decided to shake things up.
They ditched the lab and hit the streets.
Pretty much. They developed these four distinct driving profiles to mimic real-world conditions.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What were these profiles?
Well, first they had a rapid acceleration profile, really putting those batteries through the paces. Then stop-and-go traffic, which we all know and love. They also included long-distance highway driving. And lastly, a profile that focused heavily on regenerative braking.
So they covered pretty much all the bases. How many batteries were they working with?
They had a really impressive sample size, 92 batteries in total. And they didn't just do this for a couple of months. They ran these tests for 2 years straight.
Wow, that's commitment. So what did they learn after putting those batteries through the ringer for 2 years? What was the big takeaway?
Honestly, one of the biggest surprises was that those short bursts of acceleration, those moments where you need to get up to speed quickly, didn't hurt the batteries like we thought.
Wait, are you telling me flooring it off the line isn't actually a death sentence for your EV battery?
It seems not. In fact, those quick bursts might actually be beneficial. It kind of goes against everything we thought we knew.
It's like giving your battery a mini workout. Keeps things flowing, I guess.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Okay, so quick acceleration is good. What about regenerative braking? I know a lot of EVs tout that as a feature, but does it really make a difference in battery life?
It definitely does. Not only does it help recapture energy and boost efficiency, but the process of gently charging the battery during braking seems to contribute to a longer lifespan.
So basically, EV batteries are a lot more resilient than we've given them credit for, especially under real-world driving conditions. That's great news.
It really is. And the implications are pretty significant. Based on their findings, Stanford estimates that EV batteries could last up to 40% longer than we originally thought.
Wow, 40%, that's huge.
Right. Think about what that means. Fewer trips to the dealership for battery replacements and potentially lower costs over the life of your EV.
I mean, that's kind of a game changer, isn't it? It really shifts the whole cost-benefit analysis of going electric. Okay, last question. How does this research change things going forward? I mean, for the industry as a whole.
This study could revolutionize the way we test and evaluate EV batteries. Instead of these unrealistic fixed cycles, we can move towards more dynamic simulations that actually reflect real-world driving.
So a more accurate picture of how those batteries perform in the wild.
Precisely. And this better data will inform everything from how EVs are designed to what consumers can realistically expect in terms of battery life.
That makes sense. More transparency, better expectations all around. And ultimately, more people feeling confident about making the switch to electric. This has been a really insightful deep dive.
My pleasure. I always love talking about this stuff.
Well, on that note, I want to leave you all with something to think about. If EV batteries are lasting longer than we thought, what does that mean for the used EV market down the line? Could this longevity make electric vehicles even more accessible?
That's a great question. I think we're just scratching the surface of the potential here.
It's definitely an exciting time to be following the EV space. That's all we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
If you love this episode, hit subscribe, like, share, and comment. Have a favorite gadget or tip? Share it with us. Let's redefine the road ahead together.